All right, let's check in with Dwayne Thomas this morning from Stifel Nicholas. Good morning, Dwayne Thomas.
Good morning, McGraw.
How did we finish up on Friday?
Not the best day, after all. The markets, the Dow closed down 180 points, finishing at a level of 26,447. And it grabbed a lot of attention because it's the first week in a while that we had a down week.
Yeah, so what happened?
Well, a couple of things. Thursday was pretty weak, and then Friday was weak too. A lot of it has to do as the market experts are reviewing competition for money or interest rates. So let me give you an example. 2 years ago, the 10-year U.S. Treasury bond was yielding 1.35%. So from a simple, non-compounding standpoint, that's 13.5% over 10 years.
Okay.
Started this year, the 10-year Treasury is 2.4, which is 24% over 10 years. As of Friday's close, the 10-year Treasury is up to 3.23, which is 32% over 10 years. At some point, the risk of investing in the market and the growth, there's competition for that money. At 13% over 10 years, the bond market's no competition for the stock market. But at some point, whether it's at 30% over 10 years or 40% over 10 years, at some point, interest rates going up because competition for that money, and then money starts flowing towards the bond market versus the stock market.
Interesting, but I also thought, but banks didn't have a very good week, though, which is interesting, because wouldn't higher interest rates mean better money for the banks?
Typically, yes, and banks did finish up pretty well on Friday. They started the week, banks and utilities were the strongest suit the last 2 days of the week, which is interesting because banks benefit from higher interest rates, but utilities don't.
Yeah.
But utilities also considered a more safe haven, and that's probably a reason they had a better week. Finish up the last few days anyway.
All right, now explain this to me. Today is the observance of Columbus Day, which means the markets are open, but the bond market is closed?
It's the only time all year that happens. So it's an interesting story. Mainly, it goes back to there's 2 points behind it. First, the banks are closed today. So today's a bank holiday. You're not going into your bank and getting anything done. So that's the first part. Bond markets the banks respond and work with the bond markets very closely, and the Fed. And so if the banks are closed, the trading of U.S. Treasuries does not happen. And then it's hard to have corporate bonds trading, but not the Treasuries. They all kind of work together and respond to each other. So it's easier just to close the bond markets.
Gotcha. All right, well, that actually makes a lot of sense. And then what's going on with Apple?
They got a lot of news last week. I think it was Thursday night. Bloomberg revealed a story about Apple's servers being compromised by components in the supply chain from China, arguing that this Bloomberg story talked about some things being out there that something's been embedded in those servers, so it's data going back to China. So that got a lot of attention the end of last week, and obviously that's a big deal. Well, the head of Apple head of Apple Security, wrote a letter, delivered it to Congress, both the House and the Senate, yesterday, saying they repeatedly are investigate these concerns, ran another investigation on these concerns, and they have found absolutely no truth to any of this. So it's an issue. Cybersecurity is a major issue. It's a major issue from top to bottom, both government-wise and individual-wise, some of the hacks and how people have been impacted by that. If Apple was compromised, that'd be a major story.
Yeah.
At this point, there does not appear to be any truth to that, and glad to see that.
All right, good. Bond markets are closed today. As we said, the markets are open. Any look at those futures right now?
Right now, the futures for the market looks like we're going to start the day down 100 points. A lot of that's the flow over from what took place last Thursday and Friday, and then after that, both in the Asian markets flow over and the European markets. So I'm not surprised by that. we'll have to see how the dust settles as the day gets going. But initially down about 100.
Dwayne Thomas with Stifel Nicholas. Thanks for getting up early. Have yourself a good day, and thanks for checking in.
Absolutely. Good talking with you.